Oh my God, it's recording. Okay. Lou Conran.
Hello.
Hiya, thanks for coming on.
That's all right. Thanks for having me.
I think the last time I saw you, we were in Australia. About a couple of years ago, 2000.
No, it was last year, wasn't it?
Was it last year?
Yeah. It feels like a long time ago.
It does feel like a long time ago. Yeah. What have you been doing?
Oh God, what have I been doing?
Well, you recorded a show, didn't you, last night?
Yeah, I did.
Was that the dead baby? Was that the dead baby show?
No, it was the Dog Poo Darren show.
And what's that one about?
It's about a bloke called Darren who collects dog poo for a living, not for a hobby.
That's a bit night and day compared to the show before, which was I Love Lucy, which was about,
which was about me losing my baby. But this was the Dog Poo Darren was the follow-up to that, because it's based on like a newspaper article that my mate gave me 19 years ago when I was temping, and I was supposed to be acting, and I was temping, and I kept getting fired, and she'd left this newspaper article all about Dog Poo Darren on my bed going, well, you think your life's bad, at least you're not Dog Poo Darren. So I got that framed and put it up on my wall, and then with all of the baby stuff and everything, I was like, well, do you know what, I think I'd rather be Dog Poo Darren and collecting dog shit than going through what I'd been through. Anyway, and then the whole story is I ended up finding him and meeting up with him, and and then the story took a bit of a turn because he was terminally ill. So and then it was like, oh God, I don't want to do another show about another person bloody dying. But anyway.
So I Love Lucy, what was that about? Let's just summarise that.
So that was about me, the sort of journey I had with being told that I was infertile.
Yeah.
And then discovering I was pregnant.
Okay, so how did you get pregnant? I mean, I know how we all get pregnant.
Yeah, I don't really know how I got pregnant, really. It was, a lot of red wine.
Okay.
A lot of red wine.
And was it with someone that you were in a relationship with, or just a random?
We'd been sort of seeing each other for a little bit, but when your every part of your body's going, oh no, this is not right. So I was gonna bin it off. And then that day I found out I was pregnant. I was like, oh
no!
Shit. Yeah.
I'm pregnant with a man's baby who I don't even like the man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then it was like, oh shit, what do I do? So then I thought, well, we got on all right.
I mean, it's a good reason as any, isn't it?
Innit? So I was like, for the sake of the kid, do I just stay with him? And then I tried for a bit, and then I realised he was an idiot. So I was like, no, mate, you're on your own. And then obviously the pregnancy went wrong about 5.5 months into it. And then I found out there was something wrong with her. And then I had to terminate the pregnancy and then go through all the birth and all. And then, and then, what do you do as a comedian? You write a show about it, don't you? Because that helps.
So that was quite like various stages of a journey, innit? You go, oh, I'm not pregnant, so it doesn't. I can't get pregnant, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh shit, I'm pregnant, and then you got to look at the relationship and you got to think, can I make this work?
Well, it was that because I was told that I got given a year or so. They said you've got a very minimal eggs left, so if you want to have a kid, you've got a year to try and do it. And that was when I was 38. So I was like, fuck, I never even
thought about it.
Never even thought this was a thing. So I went through this whole kind of grieving process, I guess, of like, oh no, oh shit, well, oh maybe I'm not ever going to have a kid. And then I went down the sperm donor route because I thought that was what you do.
Oh, so you didn't get pregnant by accident? It was a thing that you...
Oh, no, I did get pregnant by accident. So, here's the thing.
I'm very confused.
So, I got told I wasn't fertile.
Right.
And then I was like, right, they've given me a year, so, I'll go and get spunked up in a clinic. And then that was awful. I had a really bad experience in the clinic where I was just, on the day I was going to sign all the paperwork to go ahead with it, some bloke came into the clinic at on his way to work, and he had really greasy hair, and his trousers didn't meet the ground, and he had really shit shoes on.
Oh no, shit shoes is the
yeah,
worst.
Yeah, innit? It's the worst. So, and then he was at the reception desk, and he was like, "Oh, is the nurse in?" And the woman was like, "Oh no, Phil, you've got the wrong day." And he was like, "Yeah, but I've abstained. I've abstained for 4 days, you know." And he was literally fit to blow. And he was like, "Can't you just give me the pot, and I'll be ever so quick." And you know, when you're sitting there, and my mate Jane was with me, and she was pissing about with this coffee machine, and it wasn't working. And he was desperate to wank off, and she's come over with this cup going, "Oh, I don't think the coffee machine's working. Sniff that, I think the milk's off." So I've got all of this kind of just warm, off milk, sniffing that, while this man's trying to wank in a pot. And that made my decision. I'm not gonna do this.
No. So you didn't get spunked up by a sperm donor?
No. So then I had Chinese medicine. I mean, this is
what, like sort of like ground up ox's eyeballs or something like that.
I had, because my periods were like running out, and they were like all over the bloody shop. And this woman was like, "I'll get you fertile. I'll get you fertile. I'll get everything sorted out." So I was having all these herbs.
Where did you meet this woman?
Oh, in Poynton, Manchester. Thank you. Yeah, and she's got this amazing reputation for getting people knocked up.
Right.
Yeah, so my periods were like 15 days, 27 days, 10 days, all over the bloody place. Anyway, I was taking all these herbs, and about, I don't know, 12 months in, I was like leveled out. And obviously my body's gone, "You need to get some spunk up you immediately."
So you had the horn?
Yeah, and the only one I could find was this guy. So I thumbed that in a couple of times, and then...
Well, hang on. What do you mean the only one you could
Well,
find?
the only one that seemed interested.
In having a baby with you?
No, no, that wasn't the idea. It was just like, we'll have a little relationship, see how it goes.
Okay. And are you on contraception at this point?
No, because I got told I wasn't going to have a kid.
Oh, right,
so
okay.
It was like a year later. And
because I thought they were like, you got a year. Oh, right, because it was a year later and the time.
Yeah,
the
so
time
I was
allowed.
like, oh no, well obviously I might still be having periods, but the quality, oh no, so it's not going to happen for me. Anyway,
you do know it's not like a to the day expiry.
Yeah, but I'm a little bit like, if you tell me, but next Tuesday it's all over. Oh, all right then, yeah. But anyway, we just had this really drunken night, like shitloads of booze and anyway, woke up in the morning and I knew I was pregnant.
No.
I knew I was. Yeah. Just had this really weird wave of hormones, and it just felt really weird, and I thought, oh fuck,
you just
I'm
felt
pregnant.
really pregnant.
Yeah, I did immediately.
Mad.
It's weird. I just knew.
I accidentally got pregnant about 5 years ago. I didn't have a baby, and I know what you mean, because like in the early stages, I was like, oh, I feel different. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah, immediately though. The next morning, I was like, oh yeah, I'm defo preggers. So I peed on a stick like 3 weeks in, and it came up immediately.
Shit.
Yeah. So I was like, oh good.
And so how did you react at that point? Were you happy? Were you like, oh my god?
I sat on my bed, and I think I said the word shit about 50 times.
Where did that fear come from? What was that fear?
Because
what
it was with
fear
him. So because I really wanted a baby, but then I was like, oh my god,
he's going to be the dad.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh no, I'm going to be stuck with this man for the rest of my life in one way, shape, or form. Oh God! And just the dread.
Isn't that with every man though? Like, surely most people must have that if they're like, oh, unless they're in love, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess. But I was just like, oh no.
What was wrong with him?
He was an idiot.
And hang on, does he know that? He must know that you've done this all about this baby that you guys.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm assuming so, because after I had the baby, and then the hospital arranged the funeral and everything, and so I rang him and said the funeral is on such and such a date, and then he was like, because he's an idiot, he just went, oh, funeral, all right, oh, they do it all serious then, oh, I could have just fed it to me chickens.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So after that, I was like, oh, I can't believe you just said that. And then that's the last time I've ever spoken to him.
Yeah, because you carried this baby to half term. Is that a real phrase? Yeah, like so you'd gone through the mentality of like, okay, going to try and make this work for the sake of the baby. It's not worked. Okay, I'm a single mother now, and then you've had to go through all the other stuff on your own. So after you kind of realise, oh, it's not going to work out with this guy. You're like, right, I'm going to be a single mum. You must have been like, that must have been quite like, okay, this is a decision. I'm empowered by this decision. Who was your support network when you decided that?
Well, my friends were amazing, and my mum and dad, they were worried, but I think they were excited. So I knew I had that I knew I'd be able to do it. And also, one of my best mates was pregnant at the same time. We found out on the same day that we were pregnant. So we kind of like had the same kind of, we were doing the
timelines.
Yeah. So, but kind of the same sort of couple of weeks that I lost the baby, she lost her mum. So it was kind of, it was a weird kind of parallel. But, she was there for me as well. But, but it took me a long time to get my head around the fact that I was pregnant in the first place, because I'd been told I was never going to have one.
Yeah.
And I'd been through all that grieving, and I'd done that, and then I was pregnant, and this is the thing that I'd always wanted. And now I was like, oh God, but it just feels weird.
So what sort of timelines? How long between those two or three pivotal moments?
So I got told when I was 38 that I had a year, and then I got pregnant when I was 41, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, it's quite a long time between. It's just weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it is weird. It sounds like a real real cycle of emotion, expectation, and repositioning of who you are and where your future's going to be and who with.
And because you don't really know whether, I think your body kicks in and your body goes, right, for some people, I want to have a baby, and I think that's your hormones going, this is your last time.
TikTok.
So come on. Yeah. So I had that really in the back of my mind. And then, of course, I discovered I was pregnant, and I'm like, wow, oh my God. Oh, the reality of that is very different from the want. And it took me a long time to then think, okay, well, you are doing this, and you're, 5 months in or whatever. I was like, oh, okay, right, I am doing this. So then it was about 5 months that I started getting excited about it. And then 2 weeks later, it was all over. Yeah. So it was kind of, I think deep down I knew there was something wrong as well, because Sue's baby she was sort of developing, her milestones in her pregnancy were sort of different to mine, but we were exactly the same point at each mark.
So what were you doing differently to your friend?
Well, the growth of her baby was sort of bigger than mine, and I just knew that there was something wrong.
Yeah.
And then when people would take me shopping, friends would take me shopping. Oh, let's get some baby clothes. Let's do this. Let's do that. And I was always like, no, I'd rather wait. And they were like, oh, you weirdo. And I was like, no, I don't want to get anything yet, because deep down I knew that there was something wrong.
That's mad, isn't it? And so when you found out in sort of 5 months in?
5.5 months in, and I went for the scan.
How big are you at that point? I've never.
Sort of showing.
Showing?
Yeah.
Could you blag a seat on the tube without the badge? Showing?
I think I probably could before I was pregnant, actually. Yeah. But yeah, showing, and then, so it was kind of...
So you just went in with... Nothing was wrong? You went in for a scan, like a routine?
I went in for the anomaly scan, and then she said, the woman was like, oh no, I'm going to stop the scan because I'm seeing things I shouldn't really be seeing.
She said that?
Yeah. And then she went off and got somebody else.
God, what did you feel like in that moment? Did you feel like, oh, I knew something, or did you feel fear?
No, I didn't feel fear. I just was like, oh yeah, I knew. So, and that's really weird, because I think she was like, did you hear what I said? And I was like, yeah, I heard. But it just sort of confirmed everything that I'd been feeling for the last 5 months. So it was obviously upsetting, but it was kind of like, this is a really weird thing to say, but relief is not the word, but it was that kind of confirmation that I was right all along. So it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because there must have been doubt in your mind, like, why am I not connecting in the same way that other pregnant women are doing?
Yeah.
Like, is there something wrong with me? Am I going to love this baby?
Yeah,
Maybe, you know.
Yeah. So it was a bit weird. And then I got sent to a different hospital for a second opinion, and then it was kind of all a bit like, it just all happened really, really quickly.
And so are you on your own at this point?
No, my mate was with me.
Thank God.
Yeah. And then my mum and dad came up the next day. And obviously they were so excited about having a grandchild, and then my mum was devastated. And then you're just trying to deal with that, because I had to wait a week between that scan, and then I had to go and see a specialist. But the only appointment they could get me was a week later. So I had to wait a week knowing that this was all not going to happen. But I had to wait a week for it to be confirmed by the specialist. So that week was just like, oh, well, what do I do? You're in no man's land, and you can't really function properly because you're in that world of, well, the one thing that we're waiting for is this to be over. But it's weird. That week was just, we can't even have a normal life, can you?
Yeah. And so on the days so you had to go and you had to give birth to this baby that is essentially not. That's it.
Yeah.
You're not a dead baby, but like you're having to give birth. My words choice are not good, but like you're gonna have to give birth to your baby that you're not gonna be able to spend the future with.
Yeah.
How did you feel going? Like, did you feel like you wanted it just over and done with, or were you just like sad that this was the last experience that you have with your baby? Or
I think you just go into autopilot, really, because I just knew what I had to do. I knew that there was, because I'd said to them, do I have to give birth? Can you not just
magic it out?
Yeah, give me a cesarean or put me under general anaesthetic, and I don't know. And they were like, no, we can't. It's safer for you to actually give birth.
Do you think there's probably some, like, your body, because your body knows shit, do you think you had to do that action of giving birth so that it could close it up, like the body could sort of put an end to it, if that makes sense?
Because if I'd have been put to sleep and then she'd have gone,
your body would have been like,
I'd have been like, oh, well, where she, yeah, so I definitely needed to do that. But there was a specialist suite in the hospital, but you have to walk through all the pregnant people because you're in the maternity ward. So, and then there's a specialist suite. Not a lot of hospitals have that, so I was lucky in that respect, because some people have to give birth on the maternity unit.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then that was it, really. You just get, they put like a pessary up to sort of like get the induction going.
Is that like a vagina suppository?
Yeah. And then it just starts the labour. And then you're just like, this is a job now. I need to just get this over and done with.
Oh my God, there's something so resilient about women and their bodies. Like, just...
Yeah, I mean, I had never really had that much respect for my body before. But your body is giving you constant indications all of the time that something's wrong, or so you need to do this or you need to do that. And your body, in that instance, it just takes over. It knows what it needs to do, so it's doing it. So it's like, oh my God, the body is... I have a renewed respect for the human body from that, and the brain and everything, because everything is in place to protect you or to do the job or to get rid of stuff or to do whatever. Everything sort of kicks in, and you don't really realise that until you're in one of those situations. As I said, it's like fight or flight mode, so you're just sort of dealing with it. You're just dealing with it because you have to. So, yeah.
And so, how cathartic was the funeral and that process for you? The first funeral, the hospital gave us the wrong date. Quality.
So me and my mum and dad went to the crematorium as a Jewish man was being cremated. So that was fun. so that was fun.
At what point in that visit did you realise you were at the wrong funeral?
Well, as the coffin,
there was a big...
yeah, the coffin was going in, and I was like, well, that's not right, is it? And
were you just like, who are these people?
Yeah. So So we went home, drank a bottle of wine, and then went back the next week and did it all again. But then, so the funeral was like, it's not just your baby, it's all the babies that had passed away that month. So in our service, there was, I think, about 20 caskets all lined up. So, yeah, so it was hardcore. And then you're with all the other grieving parents as well. So it's just... It's killer. It was killer.
How did people like? How did all the different parents react to the grief? Were there people quiet? People.
I really wanted to go around and talk to people because I wanted to just.
You're a communicator.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk to people so that I knew what I was feeling was normal. But obviously, everyone's got their families or they're in their own little bubble. And nobody spoke to anybody. It was just everyone was in their grief, and then we all left, and that was it. And it's obviously a very personal thing, grief. So yeah, it was really hard, really hard.
And how's it? So, at what point did you? Were you making jokes throughout this traumatic period? Was there any room for humour during actually in the present of that moment, or when did you start being able to make jokes about it, which is so naughty, but you have to?
Well, it was actually when I was in the theatre and I was off my face, and the guy had his hand up me.
Oh.
And then afterwards I was like, I can't remember his name, I think his name was Tom or something, and I was like, Tom, now that you've fisted me, are we at least going to go on a date? And everyone was just like, nobody said anything. I was like, oh no, oh God.
Died at your most personal gig ever.
Yeah. But you have to, I mean, and then like one of the consultants had a really thick Greek accent, and he was trying to deliver really bad news. And he spoke really quietly, a very, very Greek accent. I'm so sorry. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry.
Why did he sound like a munchkin?
He basically was at that. Me and my mate was sat there like, and he's telling me that there's something awful going on, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna laugh because I can't understand a word of what this man's saying. And I guess it was shock and whatever, but it was, yeah. I mean, the humour that comes from such an awful thing like that, you can only get away with the dark humour if you've experienced it, I think, because you're the only person that's placed to be able to make the jokes, and then you give permission to other people to be able to make jokes when you're ready for it. But it's a fine line, isn't it, really?
And so what happened, like in the weeks post, the funeral and this horrific traumatic experience, like where were you at mentally?
I think I was just really numb, really. And then I took up patchworking. Yes, that's right, Eleanor.
Bit of needlework.
I've never done anything like that before. I was just furiously...
You needed to focus on something else, right?
Yeah, sewing little patches together, just like in a really weird kind of frenetic way. And my friend Anna took me... she was going on a writing retreat somewhere in France. So she's like, do you want to come? And I was like, yeah, all right. And then she's a documentary maker. So we were in the car, and I'm like contracting and like... Ugh.
Are you bleeding as well?
Yeah. Oh no, I hadn't. Was I? No, I wasn't bleeding at that point. It was just the contractions. Ooh. And we drove to France, and she was making a documentary about the Somme. And we
what? Sorry, what?
The Somme.
What's that?
You know, the place in France where loads of people died.
You get healed.
No, World War One.
Oh, right.
You know, sort of a healing in a way.
I just thought it was the magical waters of Mary Magdalene. I don't know, mate.
So we were driving over the Somme, place in France, while she was listening to a CD of war stories of people being blown up and killed.
Fucking hell.
And I'm in the car, like, contracting, having just lost my daughter, and she's like, oh, God, this is so interesting, and like, driving through it. I was like, oh, my God. And then for that holiday, she made me watch really depressing DVDs, because she'd just split up with a boyfriend. And I think we watched The English Patient, got Emperor of the Sun or whatever it was, and then Bridges Over Madison County, like really like, oh God. And by the end of it, I was like, Anna, I don't think I could be on this holiday anymore. She was like, oh, I'm really sorry. They're just furiously patchworking. I made a beautiful quilt. I mean, it's lovely.
How do you respond to pain? Like if I'm in chronic pain, I kind of need to let people know, or do you sort of internalize it?
Internalize it.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's very brave and stoic of you. I respect that.
So like during the labour, I was just kind of before I had the morphine, which was delightful. I was like, oh, do you know what? This is not so bad.
I understand why heroin addicts do it.
But I very much am like, I just have to deal with it myself. I'm not an external pain announcer, really.
I am.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. Like it'll be the same pain though. Like I've got sciatica at the moment. Everybody knows that I've got sciatica.
Oh, have you got sciatica?
Oh, yeah,
you've not mentioned it.
I have. Horatio's bored with my sciatica stories. He's actually listening to a podcast of somebody else while we do this show. That's okay. So you did the patchwork, and then was what happened after that? When did you get back on stage? When did you start to go right?
Well, God, I had a couple of months off, which I don't think was long enough, but. You know,
you've got to earn money, haven't you?
You've got to earn money. And
there's no sick pay in our industry, unfortunately.
So my first gig back was Jongleurs Bristol.
Okay, so let's just explain what Jongleurs is. It's like hell.
It's like giving birth to your stillborn child all over again. It's awful.
It's crowd controlled, isn't it? It's like stag parties, hen parties.
And the one in Bristol, the stage was just on a step. So you're standing on a step in a nightclub while people are just off their face. And I was, I was emceeing, so it was my job to let's all have a brilliant night. And all you're thinking about and all you're having is flashbacks of everything. And I just texted my mate and I went, I don't think I can do this. I think this is just, and you wait for Dr. Theatre to kick in. But,
Sorry, what? Dr. Theatre?
Dr. Theatre, darling. Do you not know about
No,
Dr. Theatre?
I don't.
You know when you're feeling rubbish and then you step onto the boards and then all of a sudden, da-da, everything feels fine. And then you start crying when you come off the stage.
Oh, like Katy Perry did.
Yes, I should imagine.
Yeah. She did that documentary, and it was when Russell Brand split up with her by text, allegedly. That's what she did.
Yeah. But, and then I was waiting for that to kick in, and I went to take the piss out of this man, and then he just had this look in his eyes, and I just thought, I don't know why you're here. I don't know, you might be coming to a comedy night because you're grieving, or you're upset, or you're having a hard time. You might be here to have a lovely night, and I'm about to take the piss out of you. And this is all like in a split second. So I just sort of left it, and then
So do you think it changed? So in terms of like your career up until this point, am I right in assuming, because I had a quick look at your bio, that you are mainly club work? Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah.
Mainly club work. That was so. In terms of like the difference between club work and solo show stuff is that solo show is like it's like your album.
Yeah,
it's like your album, whereas club work is more like covers band. Would I be right in saying that? Yeah. It's like short sets. You do it. It's not. You can't really go to anywhere completely. It's got to be kind of commercial.
Yeah, but this going through all of this, obviously, I would want it the other way. I would like to have my daughter here alive. Thanks very much, but you have to. From that horrible scenario, huge positivity has come from it because I am a different person now, more focused and more passionate about what I want and a bit more honest with myself, a bit more... I don't take as much shit as I did before. And the positivity from that awful situation as it drives you, it really has given me a completely different focus.
Why? How?
Because I'm not going to have a kid, So that's not going to happen.
Is that totally off the table now?
Yeah, I think my crusty old eggs are probably done. Thank you. And I need a purpose. I need to have a purpose. And you know, I've sort of like it's like Miss World. I'm doing my charity work. You know, I'm trying to, with the show that I wrote about the loss and everything, it's about trying to open people's minds to just speak about it, because the taboo of baby loss is just still, nobody wants to talk about it.
Why do you think that is? Just because it's just utter sadness. There can't be shame.
Because it's a child, I think, and because it's
a child you didn't even know as well. It's odd. It must be a weird dynamic.
Well, you bond with it, don't you? In a way, but it's because so many people want to have a child and they can't, or so many people want to have a child and they miscarry, or that, you know, and it's that kind of the grief that comes with continuing your line or not continuing your line. It's the grief that comes with that one thing that a lot of women want and they can't have, or it's lost. You know, it's such a, yeah.
So in terms of like, let's go back to the creation of I Love Lucy. So there must have, what was the point where you kind of went, oh, I might do my Edinburgh show about this?
So I wrote an article there was an online magazine called Standard Issue, and I wrote an article for that all about what had happened. And an actress got in touch with me and said, I've read your article. There's a mother's festival on in Manchester. I'd really love to perform it as a monologue.
Oh my God. Who was the actress? Can you say? Doesn't matter if you can't.
Her name was Claire.
Cool. So you've managed to keep a really strong bond with Claire.
And so it was a bit like, I'm not entirely sure because it's such a personal story.
Yeah.
And then in the end, I was like, no, it's fine. You can use it. That's fine. And I went along to watch her doing it. And it was like this weird kind of like this mother's festival. So there was a mother in the corner just doing some needlework and then having a little workshop around there, and then we all moved around the room, and then there was a mother on the guitar singing songs.
Oh God, sounds
and then
awful.
we all moved around the room, and then somebody was knitting, and then we all moved around the room, and then Claire performed this monologue, and the room just fell silent. And then I was like looking around, and there was loads of people crying. And I thought,
Edinburgh show.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, I have to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to do this.
So like, I reckon, so is there anything that you kept secret? Is there anything that you kept private? Like, did you just lay it all out for the Edinburgh show?
There's things that I've not sort of talked about, but that's not necessary, I don't think. You know, it's more or less laid bare, but you know, the nitty gritty of certain things, nobody needs to know that. So
I resonate, because my Walk of Shame had sort of elements of trauma in it, and it was in terms of like the development of the show, were there bits where it was just not hitting, and what changes did you make to make it hit? Because it's quite delicate, because it's quite a fine balance between being funny and then just really driving everyone feeling sad, you know, because it's a sad story.
What changes did I make?
Or was there anything you needed to give the audience permission to do?
Yeah. So there's a part in the show where I get to the saddy bits, but within the sad bits there are
lols.
Yeah. But the audience, during previews, I was like, oh, they don't know whether they can laugh or not. So at that point, I was going, you are allowed to laugh. And then I had a line, something like, you know, that's the thing with tragic situations. 9 times out of 10, they are hilarious. So that giving the audience permission to laugh was great, because then it sort of lifted the atmosphere a bit.
What's the darkest thing that you've laughed at or made a joke out of?
Oh God. Well, I was going to take her. There's a mother and baby, bring your own baby gigs or whatever. And I was going to take my ashes to the gig and go, oh, you've all got your daughters, so here's mine, and put her on the table. But I think that might have been a step too far.
I mean, I think it's funny, but you're like,
yeah.
I'm not sure if this woman's over it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There's various things that I've sort of made jokes about, but I'm the only person that's allowed to make the jokes. Yeah.
So how did your feelings about the sadness and the saddy bits in your show change the more that you did the show? So just from like my point of view, when I did Walk of Shame, I talk about like addiction and domestic abuse. So the first couple of times, like the beginning of performing that show, I felt like shame, embarrassed. I felt very much in that victim role. But as more people connected with me and shared their stories with me in private or after the show, then my perception of those stories and where that history really changed. I saw it as me reclaiming the narrative, and I just wondered if you had a similar experience through repetition of the show, if your feelings towards the situation changed.
Do you know, it was only really my feelings towards it were only really changed dependent on the audience's reactions, because I knew it's the one and only show that I've ever done that I have had 100% faith in, and I've never. If I don't do anything ever again, then I've done that, and I'm really proud of what I did. The one thing for me that I didn't want to do was cry in the show, because I think that looks.
It looks like you're not recovered.
Well, no, but also it just I some shows that I've been to where people start crying in the 40-minute mark or whatever, I just think, oh, you've lost me now. Because they do it at the same point every day, and I'm a bit like, oh no, well,
I don't believe in this. It's not authentic.
Yeah. So sometimes I would well up at different points, but I really made sure that I didn't cry, because I just thought I want to be stoic in this, because I don't want to show people that it's a sad thing. I want people to go away and have a think about what they've just seen and not to feel sorry for me. So, but every day was just audience dependent, really. Yeah.
In what way? Which audiences? What changed?
Well, because you don't realise how many people have been through the same thing.
Yeah, man. Did you get lots of people coming up to you afterwards, sending you DMs and stuff like that?
Yeah, and that was really hard. You don't realise that, like, people colleagues of ours in comedy that you've worked with for years and years and years, are then suddenly telling you their experiences, and it's like, oh my God, I'd never have thought Billy Bellend would have been through something like that.
But everybody loves Billy Bellend.
Yeah, but it's so I don't think I had any negativity from it at all, and did people that came to see the show, did they get upset, and how did you deal? Because I had this recently where somebody broke the news to me in person that they'd had stage 4 cancer, and I was in hysterics, and then like looking back at it, I'm like, Eleanor, you fucking selfish bitch. But I was like, how is that dynamic? Is a weird dynamic. You've come to a place where you're all right, you're talking about it, but yet people are grieving for you. Yeah, and
that's weird.
Yeah, well, but that's all I got used to for. After it happened, I got used to people coming round to comfort me, and then I had to comfort them. So I got used to being the person that would make the cup of tea, that would cuddle the person, because they are sad for you, and they don't know how to express their sadness for your situation.
And it's new sadness for them,
yeah,
because they're just finding out the information, or it's raw for them. That's weird, though, isn't it? Do you not think that's weird? Do you not think it's selfish of the other person to be upset?
I don't. I at first I found it a bit weird, but then I just thought, oh, this is a thing. This is what's going to happen. And I think people are entitled to feel what they feel, and if they feel sad for you, not that saying that that's nice is a bit of a flippant way of saying, but it's actually, we're
touching.
Yeah, there's empathy here. and I just got used to it.
Were there any inappropriate sort of empathy point comments or something like that? Were there people are probably trying to be empathetic, but it's just coming out as like inappropriate?
Yeah, there was like somebody came round and somebody said, "Oh look, you should lose a baby more often. Look at all the presents that you've got." I was just like, "Oh, okay." And then somebody else came round and went, "Oh, you've lost weight." I was like, "Yeah, it's about that big. Yeah." But they don't. It's not from a bad place, but you know, it's
a bit of a side. It's a bit of a side swipe, and you're like, "Oh God."
Yeah, and then like, when was it? Was it the year? Was it last year? Somebody. I was in Edinburgh last year, and somebody came up and went, "Oh, how's your show going this year?" I was like, "Oh yeah, it's fine." She went, "Oh right, oh good. I'm so sorry I didn't see the abortion show." Oh, okay, all right. All right then, yeah. But people it's just what it is, isn't it? You just get used to it.
That show was very successful. Yeah, it was very successful, like critically acclaimed. You got a lot of good press out of it, and I don't want to but you were in the Guardian and on Lorraine and This Morning maybe.
No, that's the one thing I couldn't get on.
God damn it! But you got a lot of good press in inverted comments. Was that sort of like a bittersweet moment, because essentially it's you can see it from like a press. Firstly, like those press points of view, you wouldn't have been on it unless that story had been part of the national consciousness. And it was something that the reviews were well deserved, but it came from a place of pain. Yeah, it's a bittersweet.
The only thing, not really. The only thing that I wanted to do was to just get the topic talked about. Yeah, and that was the whole point, really. And I think it did for a bit, but then it just you'll open the door for a bit, but then it'll just shut off again. So it's just keeping that open, really.
Yeah, there's probably a timeline on how much you want to push that, because essentially it does take you back to that period in your life.
Yeah, and I don't want to be forever known as the dead baby lady. I don't want to forever be known as that. But I think you can. I don't know, it's a bit grim, isn't it? But
just the dead baby lady.
Yeah, I don't. I don't know. I don't always want that hanging over me, but I've done this thing, and I've started this kind of opened the door on something which actually is really important to me.
It totally is important, and I don't think you would have. And this is all part of your recovery from the loss of your baby, talking about it, putting it in the national consciousness, doing fundraising and stuff like that. That's part of your journey. So you couldn't really go back on that. It's like sometimes, like when I talk about sobriety, I'm like, oh God, I wish I hadn't talked about the sober stuff. But then at the end of the day, doing a show about it got me sober, and it helped me with my recovery. So then
it must be, you just do what you can, don't you? Really, and it's a catharsis in the end. It's something that. What I've noticed is like lots of people that I've met that have lost a child have more or less all started their own charities, or they're all doing charity work because that's all that they can do to help themselves.
That's it.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You just have to do and go on your journey, innit? That's the thing, innit?
So I've been thinking a lot about, because I don't want kids, and so we're probably going to be child-free unless something happens. And I've been thinking about what is my value as a woman, and I've got a lot of free time. Not being a parent frees up quite a lot of your time. What's your value system at the moment around being a woman? That was quite a posh question there.
Yeah, wasn't it?
What's your value of being a woman?
I don't know. Talk to me about your sciatica.
It hurts.
Yeah.
And I haven't pooed for 4 days.
Have you not?
No.
Oh God, welcome to my world.
I'm eating too much codeine. I'm really trying to poo.
Oh.
It's really bad.
Have a colonic.
Oh God, maybe I can see if there's one on Groupon.
Don't do it on Groupon.
Oh no, I had 2 bouts of acupuncture. It's really sorted out my sciatica. Have you heard? I've got it. But have you like what is your value like? Because it can't all just be work. So what do you do? Because I need help because I'm too work focused, or I go to meetings and that's about it. I've just downloaded Bumble, but that's just to try and find a love.
Well,
But that's just ending in tears.
yeah, I'm not even interested in that.
You're not even interested in the dick anymore.
No. What's value? Do you know what? I just think the grieving process is a long old thing.
Yeah.
And I've realised that because I was trying to rush to trying to make myself feel better. And actually that I've been sort of gone back to stage one really. So I'm sort of trying to build myself back up again. But what I've realised is my value is basically honesty and just trying to work out who I am as a woman, because you know you're in your 20s and you're just like dicking about, dicking about, doing whatever, and you don't really know who you are. And in your 30s, you think you're this person. You think you're, I'm really, I'm career focused and I'm this, that, and the other, and blah blah blah. But actually, for me, I was like trying to mold myself into how other people wanted me to be or how I thought I should be. But now all this has happened, I'm like, oh fuck, I actually have now got to go back to stage one where I've got to work out who I really am. And the value for me at the moment is starting again and working out what I do want in my life, what I don't want, what I will put up with and what I won't put up with. And the D...
you're off the dick at the moment?
Yeah. And I really don't care. I'm just... The most important person in my life is me at the moment.
Yeah, that's good.
And I have never, ever, ever felt that before.
No, I've always been chasing...
The D.
The dick, yeah. Total. I'm a dick chaser. I'm a total dick chaser.
I'm surprised you haven't sucked off the mic.
Well, it's amazing because I've got an award-winning blowjob technique. So yes, it is amazing that I haven't.
Have you? Award-winning? Have you? I could just see the trophy. Just one massive, great big gold coquage. There we are. Awarded to Eleanor. Thank you.
Thank you for an amazing work in the art of male ejaculation. Yeah. Has it changed? Has all this changed how you do stand up?
Yeah, it did for a bit. It made me.
And where are you now with it in 2019? Although this is going to be watched in the future. So.
Where am I now? With what? When my
just in terms of like stand-up style, are you going to be? Because obviously you have that sort of like moment in your life where you're like, I've got to tell this story, and it's this really heart-wrenching, raw, connecting piece of work, but you can't maintain that because you've got to like be like, oh shit, did I, what other things can I dredge up from my past? So you've got to kind of move that forward, but then obviously you can't. It's not going to be complete club comedy, is it? Because now you've got this level of I want to be honest, and there's a real beauty with connecting with the audience in sort of human, in a human way, rather than sort of like.
I think it's freed me up really.
That's good.
I was always conscious of like, oh God, I've got to really be this persona on stage and blah blah blah. Tiring.
It is tiring.
Yeah.
What was your persona on stage previously?
I don't know, just kind of, I guess sort of slightly aggressive, sexually aggressive on stage.
I mean, I don't know what you're talking about.
But I think now I'm just a little bit more, I'm less bothered. And I used to always be really bothered about how I come across on stage, but now I'm like, do you know what? I'm telling my stories. I'm doing it the way I want to do it, and I am less bothered about the bigger picture, because in the back of my brain I'm thinking, oh, I've survived something really awful and now I'm just telling a dick joke. So yeah.
There's a level of disconnect, isn't it? I definitely relate to that, because I'm getting to the point where I'm like, do I really want to be talking about dick? Well, because I'm not really doing dick at the moment. I'm on a sabbatical.
There is there is that, but I now, because I'm 45. Shut up, I won't. But I'm like, oh God, actually, sometimes it's inappropriate for me to talk about the things I used to talk about, because as a 45-year-old woman on stage talking about the stories that I used to do, it's icky. So now I am actually changing what I'm talking about because to be in line with the person that I really am.
Yeah, because also like that all your past stuff did happen, but people aren't seeing that. They're seeing 2019 version.
Yeah.
I do a bit of material about being a sugar baby. But I'm like, oh, actually, maybe I need to put it into some context because this was me 7 or 8 years ago when I was smashing it up on the lash and just like, oh, this sounds like a good idea. I'll try it. It doesn't really sit with the image that is now me.
No.
Cool. Well, we have to find a way to get out of this podcast. So.
Why don't you give me your blowjob techniques, Eleanor?
No, it's not really appropriate for this family-orientated audience. So, in terms of like what are you working on now? Are you just doing stand-up? Or are you developing other shit and stuff like that?
I'm doing stand-up, and I'm writing another show for next year for Edinburgh.
Is it going to have trauma in it?
No. Well, actually, there is a trauma story in there.
Is it?
Yeah, but I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Oh, right, okay. Is that because you don't know?
No.
Yeah. Where can people find you?
So, my name is Lou Conran. You can find me on Twitter at Lou Conran, LOUCONRAN. Lou as in a woman, not a man, as I frequently get confused with. And I'm on Facebook, Lou Conran Comedian. Like my page. Or on Instagram at Lou Conran. Thank you.
Listen, it's been amazing. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for having me.